Hey there you lot, welcome back to Fact Lens Fish. It's been a minute. I've had a busy start to the year with my day job, and I've also managed to come down with a bit of good old man flu this last week, so I'm a bit scratchy in the throat. Apologise if I cough mid spiel during this video. Anyway, there's a bit to talk about. Let's give you an update on the other side. See you soon. Let's open with a job I did about 5 days ago. This is my breeding tank of Neolamprologus bicheri canacondis. These are a really nice Tanganyikan, and I've got a trio of breeders in here. I'm not sure whether the male prefers one female over the other, but sometimes with Neolamprologus they'll coexist like that for a good while, so I'm not going to mess with it and try and pull out one or other girl. They've been breeding as a trio. The reason I got onto this tank was a kind of a knock-on effect from my first sale of the year. I have filmed this big tank many times over, chock full of all sorts of Malawi stuff, and now we've had a clear out, so thanks to Craig up in Sydney for support and buying a boatload of fish that needed a new home. The tank's looking empty, but we'll see way down the other end there is an old male silver streak ventralis. He's beat up and no good for breeding, no good for sale because he's got a bung eye, but doesn't mean he doesn't get to have a good life. So he looks like he's home alone, but the 25 or so bicheri that I pulled out of that tank are kicking around this tank, believe it or not. They've kind of spread themselves out over the entire footprint. My plan is to now excuse me, load this tank up with a good number of Tanganyikan fish that I've got to get some size on, because that's kind of the next wave of fish I want to move out. I'll be throwing in some quarter punctatus. I've got some little frontosas and other Neolamprologus species, maybe even probably not the Julies, because they'll be a bit hard to sort from the bicheri fry. But anyway, we're going to fill this up with a heap more fish and just get that hopefully rapid growth on that comes with being in a bigger tank. The Venustus are looking a bit frisky. We're quite cool down here in Tassie today. There's a bit of a front coming, I think, so Mr. Venustus is probably going to feel the urge over the next few days. We've got one holding in there, which is kind of cool. Round the back here, I doubt if we'll see a fish, but I did a big water change and clean on my Chalanochromis brachadi tank. I just can't get these rolling again for whatever reason. I've been throwing some Daphnia in as a live food stimulant, which has certainly given me some good outcomes in some of the other tanks that we're going to discuss. A couple of weeks ago, I got my first result in a year or so. In the fry box we have some Lethrinops Mabazi rainbow. This is a fairly uncommon Lethrinops species, and I've done some work on the group to kind of rebalance, and that's a reasonable male there to look at. So young fish, probably only 15 months old, and they've started to breed for me. So in amongst all the Seleuci and bristlenose, there are some Mabazi rainbows, so that's pleasing because that's something I haven't had for a good year or so now. Yesterday I did this tank, which we've talked about before. These are primarily a Stato Tilapia Bertoni, a Tanganyikan that looks like a Victorian. We've got, I think, about 7, maybe even 8 females we're holding in there, so that was a big outcome. We did strip one of the what I still hoped to identify as Lawanda peacocks, and we got a little Macrops female holding for the first time, so that was kind of cool. But we got the veritable shed load of Bertoni fry there, so good haul. Oh, knees down low here. Something that I haven't spoken about too much because it's down low here. This is another form of Lethrinops, the Lethrinus species. We stripped a couple of females here and have fry from in the box down there. I got a mouthful of free swimmers and a mouthful of eggs which are tumbling around the back, and I finally kicked out. I had some blueberry zebras down here that excuse me, that have done nothing for some time now, and I finally bit the bullet, and I've moved as a tank mate with these Lethrinops. I've moved down my colony of Labiotropheus Chilumba reds. So a nice Maboona species. They're very boisterous, but I don't think they're particularly dangerous because of their mouth structure. And I guess I've moved them from a tank up the top here, which we'll talk about now, because I'm trying desperately to get these ventralis to fire up. Up here I had until a few days ago those Chilumba reds I just mentioned, and I had some red shoulder peacocks. Now both the red shoulders and the Chilumba reds had bred, so there's nothing wrong with this tank, but for whatever reason this group of Mapimpuis silver streaks are not producing, and that comes down to it's always one of 3 things. Like, you want good water and you want good food, and we know we're breeding those other species, so there's no trouble there. So therefore it's these fish, either the balance of this colony is wrong, and it's quite possible I've got some more males to pull out of here. As mentioned, we pulled out the old boy over there in the big tank. We're just kind of waiting now that I've done that work and changed the scape of the tank a little bit. We've obviously got a male that's going to take up the left hand end here, who's dominant at this time, and now he's got to do some work, and my plan is to favour these fish in particular. I've got a stray hap in there of some sort, just a female, and I've put the black calvus in. Hopefully they don't figure out if something breeds to go down and eat the eggs too soon. And we've got a couple of boring old princess cichlers in here somewhere, just guarding the rocky end down here. But the plan is to dump a fairly regular supply of the Daphnia that I'm now culturing in here. I think these things do well on some plankton, and I'm sure that that'll be enough to get these guys going. I'm rolling a similar way in this tank. This is another variant of ventralis. These are the Chatutas. Thanks to Mark in Adelaide for these. They're probably the most common variant in Australia, but I still love the featherfin group as a whole, so we're going to try and get these guys rolling. From this tank I moved out a group of peacocks, the Cobway variant, which once again had bred, but these weren't, so I don't know whether these are just a bit young yet. But the other thing I'm really aiming to stimulate, and it'll be the plankton route, the live food, maybe mosquito wrigglers, is we've got 3 Nathochromis pomaxillaris here, and as people that know me know, my I guess maybe my legacy in the hobby is my work with this species, getting some of these a few years ago and having been lucky enough to breed them a couple of times over and distribute them out amongst some of the people that I've met through the hobby. And based on what I've observed the last couple of times, I think these young fish, when I say young, these are 2 years and maybe a bit more old now, so these things don't breed young out of the gate, but we're right around the ballpark now. So they've got a beautiful tank with the best water I can give. We'll start giving them that extra bit of live food, because I think live food is key to a lot of species, and hopefully we'll have some better updates on these shortly. Along the way here, since we last spoke, we've produced some of the horii. They're just going gangbusters. I've got to get up and do hongy and blue otter tanks maybe tomorrow. That's going well for breeding. I've done a little bit of work on some of my divided tanks, and these are where I park some fish. I'm close, hopefully, to making a bit of a breakthrough with the potentially supplying a shop into Melbourne that's, I think, expressed an interest in larger fish, and that kind of suits me. So I mentioned I gave up on the blueberry zebras. That's our lazy boy there that just refuses to breed for whatever reason. We've got a few odds and ends tucked away in chambers down here, and yeah, if I can get a shop in Melbourne to clear me out of some of that stuff, that'd be quite brilliant. I'm trying to put some work into some of the fish that have not been working for me, and it all comes back to what I've mentioned about the plankton. I've got my Daphnia colony kind of working well now, and I think things like these olivaceous will be pretty easy to stimulate with that just that bit of extra live tucker. I'm feeding that Daphnia about every 6th or 7th day. I'm not willing to feed too much more yet because I don't want the colony to crash out, but these things certainly, from what I've seen with the first couple of tries, are really enjoying the food, and I don't think it'll take much to get some of these things going. And on that subject, we've had a result with a new pair of Lalupi here. We've got significant numbers of fry in this tank. This is a pair. I threw a big fish and 2 little fish in here a while ago from my last batch of grow-outs, and in this case they kind of did gang up on one fish and put her up in the corner, which we rescued, and pretty much straight away after that we got a result there. So that's pleasing. We've got to get the mustax to do the same thing, and same spiel. I'm live feeding all these pair bonding substrate spawning types and the shell dwellers each time I harvest Daphnia. It's despite the clear out from the sale that I mentioned that went out a week or so ago, we've got plenty of fishies coming along at a rate of knots. We've got lots of babies down the bottom here, and they're looking ready for their dinner. So I should probably finish up filming and let them have their dinner. And this has been an exciting development in the last 3 or 4 weeks. We'll finish on this one. This is my group of Neolamprologus walteri. These are another pair bonding style of cichlid, and I got some of these from my good mate Kev up in the Wollongong area some time ago, and I've definitely seen babies in this tank recently. I'm not sure how well I'm going to go catching any on film, because I think the fact that I haven't been able to isolate a pair, I suspect that maybe the competitors have got in and polished off a few babies, but that's at least we know there's a pair in there somewhere to work with. Alright, I'm struggling with my voice, as you know, already heard. Nothing like man flu at my age. So thanks for watching, folks. I will do my best to have a strepsil and talk to you again a bit easier next time. Thanks for watching.